I want to start by telling you all a story, maybe not one that anybody's ever heard before. It was said that a long time ago, we were created, but not as we are today. Instead of men and women, there were actually three sexes: children of the sun, children of the moon, and children of the earth. The children of the sun were as two men, back to back, sort of sewn together, with two faces, 4 arms, 4 legs. Children of the earth were as two women, similarly attached, and the children of the moon was a man and a woman, still with the 2 faces, 4 arms, and 4 legs. In this form, we were powerful. So powerful, it is said, that we could rival the gods. And so we decided to come together, the 3 sexes, and form an army so that we could then scale Mount Olympus, conquer it, and make it our own. Well, this did not sit well with the big guys upstairs. In fact, Zeus called together a council, and they were really upset seeing their own creations scaling the mountain, coming up to overthrow them. And with a heavy heart, Zeus grabbed his mighty thunderbolts and hurled them down at his own progeny, cleaving them right down the middle, separating man from man, man from woman, and woman from woman, so that there were no longer 3 sexes but 2. And punished for our greed, we were now doomed to no longer be created whole, no longer to be created attached to our counterpart. And so instead, we have been doomed to have to search for the counterpart to our soul, to search for the person that makes us feel whole and makes us feel, again, as powerful as the gods. Now, why did I tell this story? It's a myth, a little bit obscure. Perhaps there's some others that we are more familiar with. But essentially, it comes down to the idea that we have never liked not knowing stuff. There's always an explanation for something. For example, we see the sun rising and setting in the sky, and not knowing that it's really just the rotation of the earth, we attribute it to the god Helios pulling it in his chariot. Not understanding why the seasons change, we attribute that to Persephone descending into the underworld for her relationship with Hades, which, she had to be there during the winter, and it was only when she came back up and her feet touched our ground that then the snows would melt away and the flowers would bloom. So, now we are finding ways to explaining the unexplainable, which is at the core of our desires, because we, as I said, don't like not knowing stuff. So in order to do this, we need to create new languages. And by language, I don't mean English or Spanish or Latin or Greek. By language, I mean new methods of understanding and defining. Languages like chemistry, biology, neurology, psychology, economics, mathematics. New ways to define the world around us. And in doing so, better understand not just the world, but ourselves. And through this, we can define, but we cannot create. Sometimes we can, but really in order to create, we need something new. Because, for example, I can define an emotion for you. I can say, I'm sad, or I'm happy. I can even go a step further and define this in terms of how I feel, by saying that when I am overcome with joy, my heart races in my chest, and then it accelerates to the point that now I feel the adrenaline flowing through my veins, and I feel a burning in my fingertips. That's how happy I am. And if you think about this and maybe close your eyes and imagine it, you can nearly feel it, but you won't feel the emotion rawly as your own. You won't experience it as your own. To do that, we need to find another language. We need music. And so music is born out of the need to now, again, explain the unexplainable, similar to mythology or biology. Music is born in order to communicate that which we cannot communicate through words. And so now we have this new tool in our toolbox, and we use it in order to convey our emotions. But why just tell you this? Why don't I try showing you here? I think we have a video clip. Let me see if let me make sure this is working first. Essentially, what we're going to do is play a video clip here. and I'm going to try to accompany it on the piano, and then we'll kind of see what the emotional response is to the video, and then we'll go from there. All right. We're good? Some kind of sense of, not necessarily a struggle, but a challenge, accepting it, triumphing, that whole idea. Now let's try it with a different musical context. So now why is he running? It completely changes everything. It's similar to a horror movie. Have you ever watched a horror movie and then turned off the music because you're too afraid? And now it completely changes the entire context? And now all of a sudden it's almost comical. You see all these weird faces emerging out of the TV, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. But when you have like it's like, ah. And so this is really the idea that we are able to communicate in new methods because of our musical toolbox. But for all the emotions in the world, I can play, and you might get some sense of, maybe disappointment, hope, longing, whatever strikes you, because I didn't finish it. But that's just emotion. We need the detail work. No matter how many emotions I throw at you, you're not going to get, she was wearing the same outfit on the day that she broke up with me that she was when I met her at the coffee shop and asked her out. You're not going to get these details just through emotions and music. That's where the songwriter is born. Because now we need to find yet another new language. Fortunately, it's rooted in languages that we're already familiar with. So now we get back to actual English or Spanish, etc. But the reason that it's a new language is because now we need to piece together words and phrases in ways that can say and communicate things that we have unsuccessfully been able to communicate. It's not, you don't just want to say, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. That doesn't accomplish anything. That sounds ridiculous. Would you listen to that? No, right? I tried to break my hands to stop writing songs for you. Now we get a little bit more detailed, but there's obviously more to be desired, and you see it develops over time. And then so that is maybe an early lyric, and then you take it somewhere else and you move it along. And this is now what creates the emotional palette to choose from in terms of not just the music, but your vocabulary. Legendary songwriter Leonard Cohen, I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, right? He's brilliant. He was once interviewed by Paul Zollo and asked about the labors of songwriting, because it's not easy to find the right words. I mean, if you're ever just on the phone or in a conversation, even then it's hard to really explain yourself, especially in an argument or something like that. It's impossible. Now try to do it to music, and it's a whole new monster. Well, in the interview, Leonard Cohen said, "The mental physique is muscular. That is what allows you to walk along the dismal landscapes of your inner thoughts. At the end of the day, it's just plain hard work." And it is. Sometimes you can write a song in a day, and it seems like it's coming out of nowhere, and it's great. And then you listen to it, and you're like, that wasn't so good. And then it might take years to actually finish it, all because of just one word. And one word doesn't quite communicate what you really need to say. And in order to do that, you spend years working on it. But eventually, hopefully, you get to a point where now you feel like you are able to successfully communicate. And upon doing this, you learn more about yourself, and you learn more about the world around you. And in doing so, become as emotionally powerful as we once were. It's difficult because it's putting your soul on the line. It's like trying to scale Olympus, knowing that you will fall, be struck down. And the only thing you can do is get back up and try again. But through this, we can once again regain our emotional power. Power that they said was equivalent of the gods. So I think now is an appropriate time for us to make some music together. Right? Okay, so I'd like maybe people to throw out genres. Anybody volunteers? Just throw out a genre. Jazz or rock. Fugue. Sorry? A fugue? Okay, so improvising a fugue on the spot is doable if you're Bach. I am not. So maybe we could try something a little bit more contemporary. Hip-hop. Hip-hop? Oh my goodness, you really are just out to get me. All right, we can try that. I don't know, Broadway, a little bit of Broadway? Okay, we can try some Broadway. So in order to do this, maybe we want sort of a drum beat in the back to get us started, because music isn't just about emotion, it's about getting you to move. It's about getting you to think. It's about getting you to make love and dance. It's about all of these different things, and so let's start with a beat. How about... Right? That seems okay. Something like that. Can you hear that? Kind of, I think. Need some emotions that kind of come into this. Like we got a little bit of swing, but what are we feeling with this? A little bit kind of happy, but it's not quite happy, right? There's some other context there. What do people feel? Anticipation? Sorry? Optimistic? Maybe like a sense of hope that something hasn't been working out, but maybe it will. What else? What else are we feeling? Kind of a little bit like bouncy. That's good. So now we need to come up with some words. So who has some words that they want to share? You don't have to sing, but maybe just a key buzzword. Something like, every day I'm walking home, and I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know. Now that's kind of lame. We're not quite there. We need something else. I've been up all night 'cause it don't seem right. Tell me, where do all the righteous people go? Yeah, I've tried to pray, though I've forgotten the ways. Lord, don't you take these righteous people, no. So we're kind of moving along a little bit more. And the idea is that now we get to feel a little bit of something. And we start to ask, what is this song about? Well, we need to develop it. Because if you just keep hovering on that verse, it's never going to go anywhere. And in order to do this, we need to start exploring. So you're in the... I think it was that one. That was what I played. And so now you might go to what's called a pre-chorus. And oh, why I've heard good people live forever. What's forever really even mean? I don't know, something, right? And I've been told, let the sinners be condemned. But what I've heard is hardly what I've seen. But we need to go somewhere else still. So where is this gonna go? Maybe because that's the part that people like to sing along with the song. I've seen angels falling from the sky, falling, falling out of heaven's eye. Well, all the joy and all the laughter that living brings breaks as easy as an angel's wings. And we've just written a song. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's it for me. Thank you very much for coming out and listening. Enjoy.